Okay. The first thing is explain a little what we have here, because I believe that is the principal point. Understand what we have here today. Today, almost all the activities that are happening in Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Entra, formerly called Azure Active Directory, related to Microsoft 365, Microsoft Purview related to Microsoft 365, all those activities are sent through this auditing pipeline to this auditing storage for Microsoft 365. This storage is a hide storage that can only access by internal component, in that case, the unified audit logs that today is called Microsoft Purview Audit, Activity Explorer, and the Office 365 Management API. And from here, we start building MPARR. MPARR have the capability to take all the information available through the Office 365 Management API, takes that information and send to Logs Analytics. That is the first thing. We take all of this and we send to Logs Analytics. From Logs Analytics, we can reuse the same workspaces by Sentinel. In that case, with Sentinel, we can consume this data. Or if we are using a separate workspace in Logs Analytics, we can use that data using Power BI. And then using Power BI Online workspaces, we can publish different report for different audience. That is in general. Then we have other scripts that permit to enrich and create this advanced report. With that in mind, we can see all this documentation is public, which tables are created with each component. MPARR collector create these 5 tables, and I will go why we are collecting that 5 tables. RMS data, MPARR RMS data create these 2 tables, and I will explain that. These 3 scripts, MPARR Azure AD user, MPARR Azure AD domains, MPARR Azure AD roles, create these 3 tables, domains, user, and roles. And the same happened with this script that create the labels column and the seat the labels table and the seat table. And the last one that is used to create the last MS product table. We will find all these tables in Logs Analytics. If we are running completely MPARR with all the script. Now, this is the most important one, the MPARR collector that consumes the data from the Office 365 Management API. And what's mean consume the data from the Office 365 Management API? Let me paste here on the chat this link. Today, the Office 365 Management API collect information from more than 40 different schemas related to the common services like SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, Teams, but other services like Project, all the Purview activities, Viva, Dynamics, Power BI, Power Apps, all of that is available through the Office 365 Management API. But what's happened, our product group that of more than 40 schemas in 5 content blocks. And you can see here, these are the same 5 tables that MPARR is creating in Logs Analytics, are the same 5 groups created by the product group. The advantage that, and we can discuss in other moment, maybe we can have another meeting to troubleshooting MPARR collector as MPARR collector as the script. But the advantage that we have with this solution is for any reason our product group decide to add a new content block, the only thing that we need to do is in the folder that we use with the MPARR collector, we have this file, schemas.json. If we take this schemas.json, give me a moment. Just now it's taking time to load.
The name of the new schema is going to be there in the URL, in the web. Yeah.
We need to add manually as a new field, the new name, and the system will start working with that new group of schemas.
Yeah,
that is the advantage with the solution. We don't need to do anything on the script. The script is created to follow if the file is available, but it's not available. We will go through the default content blocks. Or if we want to skip, as an example, the information from Azure Active Directory, the only thing that we need to do is change from true to false, and that information stop downloading and importing in logs analytics. We will not discuss now, but there is other way to use filters related to operations. Now I will start talking about operations related to contain or not contain certain kind of operations. That operations is, in this case, is the same as activity. The principal column that contain all our data is related to operations. We have, in general, three principal columns that we can use: time generated, user ID, who is doing what, but not always we have information in the user ID column, but in the operation column, we have all the activities. And as an example, I can request in the audit Azure Active Directory, where time generated is our principal column related to dates, major or equal. Now, less. On my case, logs analytics is set for 2 years to retain the data 2 years. That is another very important point, is for how many time the data is retained. And here another parenthesis. Logs analytics is not a traditional database. Logs analytics is a kind of recycle bin or trash can, wherever that you want to see, and receive all your garbage. You start sending, and Logs Analytics receive all of that. Doesn't have an structure. You don't need to create previously tables or add additional columns. Logs Analytics, at the moment that you start ingesting data, Logs Analytics start collecting that information and building additional columns and additional information. In that order of idea, we cannot update data in Logs Analytics. We don't have any command to update information. The only thing that we can do is add the same data again, and in some case, in the query, request the last updated data. For that reason, we need to have this on mind, because additionally, this recycle bin or trash can works as a FIFO, first in, first out. That means if you set the data retention to 90 days, if you try to request information from 90 days and additional one, that information will not be available. That was a point that we was discussing with Sergio, because if you are sending the information about domains, as an example, or user, you need to update that information periodically, because if not, you will lose that information in some moment. That is the first thing to have in mind here. On my case, I believe that I have information for maybe 6 months on my environment, but I will still put 730 days. And now, first of all, I want to know which operations I have available, at least on my environment. And I can use a summarize count by operation. Operation, finally, all the filters that we can apply in the MPARR collector or any report that I am building are based in this column, operation. Any record added from MPARR collector have an activity. That column is never empty. The same happened with time generated.
Yeah.
And here, yes?
No. It's the operation is the end user activity that was logged in audit log. End user activity says when you open a file, when you rename a file, when you delete a file. That is the audit. Any actions is the operation. And there is other columns that could be empty, but operation must be or always has a value, because that is the objective of the recording. Okay, continue.
Yeah, that is the big deal. We have always operations related to we have always operations related to any activities is and to add an additional point to Sergio said is service running in the background and admin activities as well. It's not only end user. We will see that we have we can find activities that come in from end user, admin users, or services running in the background. And here you can see, at least on my environment, I have user logged in, 3,000, user login failed, almost 200, set company information. We can see here several activities. Some of those activities are simple to identify, but some other activities can be a little more complex to identify which is the right operation. In that order of idea, every time that I build a report, normally I use a dummy account to recreate the specific activity and identify the activity that I need to build or generate the report.
Or the activity that you need to track, right?
Yes. As an example, I have running the MPARR collector on my environment every 15 minutes. That's mean any activity that I will do that will be logged. In that order of idea, I have here my user mic. I will go to compliance.microsoft.com with my user mic.
That is important, Patrick, because in the future, if we want to monitor one activity, we need to be able to reproduce that activity to identify the activity. And that's why we have a single tenant in our end.
Okay, I see.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. And now, as an example, this is only to, let me see. Okay, I will create an audit cert. Let me create an audit cert here. Choose an activity. I will look in for DLP. Match, remove, something like that. Cert name, nothing more, cert. Start cert. With this one, okay. I am looking. Okay, something is not working. Okay, so not refreshing here, but that suppose right now I have some third activities. For some reason it's not showing here. But why I am doing this? Because the idea is show to you that we can look for the mic activities, and we will see that what is doing mic. In this case, what we want to see is this specific activity, because in this same sample, I don't know the activities related to audit, to enable audit activities here. And I want to create a report to identify that information. That is almost clear, and I will show you that later. Is 3:30. I can see
now that value, because for example, let's suppose I am attacking that tenant, I disable the audit log for a period of time, and then I re-enable the audit log. This is information that I would like to know, right?
The last time that the MPARR ran was okay, it ran at 3:35. That means we will have that activity soon to test. Okay, let's back here. With this query that I'm showing, you can let me copy and paste here on the chat. Sorry, was not works there.
You have this query in the OneNote that you share with the queries, right?
Yeah, I believe that is there.
Yeah, but this is because it's a basic query.
You can change this one by audit Active Directory, or I want to see related to audit exchange. And here we can see the activities generated on audit exchange. On the same MPARR GitHub site, you can find this list of operation. This Excel file is available there. You can see to have an idea all the different operations that we have available. You can take that information and start taking ideas from there. But here you can see the different activities. Now, I want to filter some specific activities. Let me see, as an example, if my user Randall, that is another dummy account that I have. User IDs. Sorry, it's not user key, user IDs. This one contain Randall. In this case, I can see all the activities from that user in the last 2 years. Well, again, that is a big depend. On my case, I was not using for 2 years the information on MPARR here. I needed to rebuild that 3 months ago, maybe. I don't have too many data. But that is the idea, is identify the activities for that user, because some of the most common issues when we build a report are, I am using your report, but I am not seeing anything. It's not working. Happens, and we had that kind of the discussion with Sergio. You are trying to run a report for some specific operations that are not happening in your tenant yet, because Logs Analytics is not a traditional database. I am not creating the tables. I am not creating the index and any other kind of information previously. For that reason, if you are not using, as an example, DLP over Teams, if you try to open that report will not work, because you don't have activities related to that. And for that reason, the field doesn't exist yet, and that report will not work. That is very important to know, because it's very common that happens.
And that is very important. I agree, because we saw some errors in the past that we try one template and that is not working because that operation doesn't exist in that tenant. For example, a standard tenant or business premium standard, they don't have data lifecycle management. If you have a report that has data lifecycle management, that report won't work for that specific customer, because that tenant never used data lifecycle management. Am I right, Mr. Sebastian,
yes.
or no? Yeah, good. I understand that the concept because we worked last time related to this.
That is the big deal. We need to understand very well that point to avoid any confusion. And normally, the troubleshooting, when we are trying to run a Power BI report and we start seeing problems to load the tables, is that one is have access to the specific field that doesn't exist. In that case, we need to understand how we can remove that data and replace some information, or maybe see if the report we need to use another report, because is not enough. That is in general what we need to have in mind for this.
Yeah, I understood from that side. Patrick is in process to understand, because I saw this many times, but maybe it's new for Patrick. I am able to follow you, and I understand that the key here and the operation and this data is going to be uploaded to Power BI. Agree until this moment. Thank you.
Patrick, any question, comment is relative clear for you?
Yeah, so far it's relatively clear. I mean, if the data is not being generated from the usage or the plan that the customer has, or the tenant, then it's not going to be exportable or usable in any kind of report. It's just not there. So, yeah, I understand.
Okay. In that case, every time that we tried to use a report and we saw that the report have problems to be load, we need first of all connect to logs analytics and see if we have all the tables. That is the first thing, because maybe we don't have some specific tables. As an example, a common error is maybe we don't run yet the information about Active Active Directory user. And almost all my report, if you see the structure, are related to that information, to the HRD users. We need to validate. How we can validate in the same public information that we was reviewing, we have all the columns and all the information that we need. That is the first point. Now, okay, I want to create a report for the MIP scanner as an example. Normally, in which way I start doing that was saying, okay, I want to the audit general information. I know that that user appear in that place where user ID, sorry, let me start again, time generated, major or equal, now, and so 30 days. And now I will use where user IDs contain my user account for the scanner, MIP scanner. If I run this one without any other filter, I will obtain several information. I need to take care in this point because all the cost related to logs analytics and the most expensive cost is the data ingestion. Data ingestion is all the information that going in and out to logs analytics. That means inclusive our queries have a cost.
Yep.
In this case, because it's a demo environment, my queries are not returning too many data, and the data process is very small. It's not a kilo, but we need to take care a lot on that specific point because we can generate a big impact on the cost with our queries. This is a first stage to learn, to test, but in a future, you need to take that present to take care, as an example, with the time generated.
Yep. And that's why we have a live log analytic, a live virtual machine, and a live Sentinel that help us to understand what is going to be the total cost of MPARR. I know that you have a calculator, but we want to see this live, and we are monitoring the data that we are facing in our live tenant, because this is no demo, it's live. Okay, and you are also helping us monitoring that. Just to me, I am monitoring from my end, but it's just that it helps you, Mr. Sebastian, that confirm that your assumptions related costs are true. Related the costs, because here is no demo, it's live customer, and you can see, oh, it's true or it's false. Okay. Good.
Yeah, that is something that we need to take care with the queries. I am saying because when I started learning this, I was doing some very big queries, with the cost impact related to that. And for that reason, I know that we need to take care on that
Question.
specific point.
When you say that the query is a single query, and how much we in average, not per query, let's suppose per month, we can expect to receive 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000, or how much do you think?
No, I consider that on the cost calculator for
Yep.
but it's very difficult because, as an example, the same scanner. If you're using an scanner, the scanner can work with 1,000, 100,000 files,
Yeah,
or
terabytes.
millions of files.
Yes.
And if you request the last 2 years or only 1 week, it's not the same.
Yeah. No, agree. And the point here is that we have to take care of the data, that all the queries and
Yeah.
ingestion. Agree. Thank you.
And as I mentioned, we know what we are looking for. We can reduce this one to 2 days, 3 days, 4 hours. As an example, if you have a customer that is running the scanner in several servers and data centers and collecting several information daily, we will need to run this one to obtain the information from the past hour only, not inclusive, not 1 day. That is something.
300 days is another value that, yeah, we have to be careful with the queries, because we don't see that it's cost, but yeah, they are summarizing every day that you are running query.
That is in the moment that we are building a report. We can assume that after the report is created, you don't need to build again from scratch a new query, and the only thing that we will do is reuse the capabilities on Power BI without researching anything. I am trying to explain this point because in the process to research, to create a new Power BI template, that kind of things can happen to start discovering in your environment. But in this case, I am looking for the audit general, time generated, last 2 years, to collect all the information. In my case, it's a very small number, and I can work with this and start taking this information. What's happened? First of all, I need to understand this information. What normally I do to understand this information is very manual. You have here the options to export all as a CSV, as an Excel, or you can open directly on Excel. That is with a data source, but in this case, you need to take care with this data source, because any new update or any refresh will go to Logs Analytics and start collecting data again, and that generating a cost, generate a cost impact. I will export all the columns in a CSV format. You can open in different ways. Normally, I am not open directly the CSV, but for this case, I will open directly the CSV. I will take this one and I will enable the filters. And now I can start moving between all the columns and see which kind of information that I have. What happened here, I was exporting all the columns that exist for all the operations. if I have more operations, more columns that I have, that finally can generate hundred of columns.
Yeah.
But the most important point here that normally I do is we have the column operation. We have the column operation. And here we can start seeing the different fields that contain some data. In this case, the operation is the principal one, and I can see that I have the discovery, heartbeat, sensitivity label apply, sensitivity label update. But as an example, here is not appearing because I was not doing that with the scanner yet. Sensitivity label remove. With the scanner, I can remove labels. Or the same scanner, if someone deletes some files, I can see files delete as well, because the scanner detect that some files are not appearing. That is in general some of the cases. And okay, I want to see what mean sensitivity label apply or update. And I select these two, and I can start seeing, okay, I have the object ID, that is the path plus the file name. I have the IP address. I am seeing here a workload, some column that say workload, okay? Maybe I need to validate this one. I have some record types. There is several information that maybe can give us some idea about what we have in the database. I am trying to explain from scratch. Normally, what I do every time that I start building a new report, and every time that I start building a new report, I looking for that specific operation, and I start seeing all the columns that contain data, and what can I obtain for that information.
Yes, and I believe that what you do in the future query is that you are going to filter the columns that you are interested on for that specific operation. I think so. I don't know.
Sure.
Am I right or no?
Sorry?
I think that when you are doing in the future the custom query, you are going to filter the column that you are interested on.
Yes, that is based on that. Normally, I can start identifying some activities that I can use. Okay, I have the common device name. I want to know the scanner. I don't know what's mean common platform. I will need to research on internet in the schemas what mean common platform.
But if you click there, there is only common platform D. You click there, you have a single value. You can assume that you don't need that column because there's some columns that you are going to need, and this is going to reduce the amount of data that you are taking out and reduce the cost. We spoke about that a few days ago, right?
Yes, right.
Because the idea is, in that case, is per operations what I need to, what I want to take, and that is a custom query that has to be created, right?
Yes, in this example, I am seeing an odd behavior here on the sensitivity info types because I saw only some parentheses, but the column was wrote a lot. That case, let me see. I believe that is I removed the discover process, but at least on the sensitivity label update, on the sensitivity label apply, was not sensitivity data was detect. Happens that, remember, I filtered the discover process here. I removed the discover process. Let me add the discover process. But this is something I can see that for sensitivity labels update and sensitivity label apply, some information is not available. For other operations, As an example, I use discovery a lot to identify sensitive information types. And if I go to this column, I can see that I have several columns with some level of detail.
Yes.
Okay,
And
I
that
will
is
remove.
why you have one report for the discovery and you have another report for the when it's applied. Am I right or no? Because you have two reports in the
I
MIP.
can in the report I have two because one of the report is to show the sensitivity labels applied by the scanner. But if you don't have activities related to sensitivity labels apply, I cannot show that information. And the activity of sensitivity label apply. Sorry, this one is showing. Let me grab the text. But the sensitivity label apply, as an example, have other values, other columns that are not available when you use the discovery, like a protection owner, a previous label apply. That kind of field, that kind of column doesn't exist when you use only the scanner in the discovery process, in discovery only.
Yeah. I have a question here. You notice that can you go back to the previous the column that you were selecting? Yeah,
The operations
that
one?
Yeah, I see a column that is very big that you have
Okay,
highlighted.
this is the sensitivity label, the sensitive info types. This
That one.
one.
Notice that this value has a lot of information in a single cell. So if you need to separate this, you have a process to normalize this. I believe that you are separating, for example, sensitive info type ID, and you have another sensitive info type ID, another sensitive info type ID. Do you break this cell in a different cells in a different places or no? How do you do that?
I do that on Power BI.
Okay, good.
But
Understood.
there is another operation in KQL, in custom query language, to extract some specific field from here. There is I need to research a little more those comments because I'm not expert as well on KQL, but I know that exists an options to extract language or extract every part where appears sensitivity info type name. I can do that using custom. That can be very useful if we want to create a workbook on Sentinel. But on my case, I will show to you on Power BI, I need to collect only that information. Inclusive, previous to this call, I was working with another customer that need a specific report from the scanner. And one of the case was related to a specific path and a specific sensitive info type. In that case, we was taking the original, and let me go to the original query that I created for, I don't know why it's this too big, for the scanner. Here I can go to custom queries, MIP scanner. Here I have the MIP scanner discovery and labeling, and the only discover purpose. As an example, I can take this one.
Where do
Custom
you
query
have
is very
that query? Where do you get that query? Is your query or
in
is
the
a
GitHub.
public query in the cloud?
It's a public query.
Okay, this is in your site, MIP scanner.
I have the
But I think
discovery
that I
purpose.
suggest remember. Our idea is you are gonna have your queries here, or you are gonna have your queries in OneNote. Just for my understanding, because at the end, what is the query that I should use?
In the OneNote, I am putting all my research.
Yes.
All the research process and all the queries that I'm testing.
Yeah.
Here I am public the queries that are related to the templates that I am releasing.
Perfect.
This
Great.
means here you have a global available GA query,
Yes,
but
that
in
is.
the other one you have several preview queries that are not here.
Yeah, agree. We have the preview, that is the depth, and we have the general availability, that is this one. Based on what we need, we are going to define what we are going to need, okay?
I take this
Good.
one as an example. Here, some stuff that I remove in the Power BI template. I was at the begins removing manually here the the local domain. This is to reduce the name of the machine, because normally the machines appear with the full qualified domain name, the FQDN. If we want to remove that, we can take this one to remove the local domain from the devices. But as an example, I want to look in information only related on a specific path. What can I do is say, okay, an object ID as, let me validate here, object IDs contains MPARR scan 02. That is the, let me validate here. With that one, what I am doing is from the object ID, from this column that contain object ID plus path plus file name, that is the object ID, I will recollect only information from this specific path. You can have some customers that they want to have separate report for some specific path, for some specific information. We can do that.
Yeah.
Inclusive, we can say, okay, I want to obtain only the ones that contains SSN data. If I execute this one, the only result that I will have here is 246 documents that are located only on this path, the path that is start with that in that server. And I know no matter this sensitive info type data is very extensive and maybe contain Netherlands tax identification number, driver license, and several other things. I know what that one, with this filter at the top, that I am collecting all the files that, additionally to other sensitive information types, contain the SSN as well. What's happened? This specific file, an object ID is path plus file name. That specific document called registry.txt contain all that different sensitive information types, including SSN.
And even you are separating this because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, that we do that in the on Power BI. I will do that here with the same. I will start from 0. We can export this as an M query, open file. This is the, okay, I have several opens. Okay, let me take this one, Control C. You can see here, in part of this one, we have the specific query that I run, including an object ID as contain MPARR scan 02 and sensitivity info types contain SSN. I have here 246. As an example, if I remove this one, the sensitive information type. Let's see how many information that we return. 14,000 of result. In this case, from that 40,000 of files, I recollect only 246 with the details. Let me go here. Now we will open a new Power BI report. New Power BI report. We will start with a new query, get data, blank query.
2 seconds.
Yes.
That is important. 2 seconds. So, Patrick, right now, we were talking all the time about log analytic. Remember that the log analytic is the default storage.
Yeah.
Now, what he is doing is he opened the Power BI desktop application because we can access Power BI by browser.
Mm-hmm.
When he opened this Power BI, he's planning right now to connect the Power BI with the log analytics.
Yeah.
And here he's gonna start querying from Power BI the log analytic data. We are gonna have here in Power BI raw data meaning tables, and with those raw tables, we are gonna create the reports. Just one information, and because this is one very important top point. Go ahead, continue, Mister. Sorry for the.
No problem. Here. Let me go forward on this point. Okay, I have my new blank query. This is the blank query. I need to go to the advanced editor. Remove these 4 default lines and paste my export from logs analytics. If I do this, on my case, my user.
Yeah, go ahead. I have to say something, but before that, where do you log in the log analytic, and when do you connect the Power BI with that specific log analytic?
Yeah, go ahead. Specific point right now. Go
ahead.
You can see that right now I am logging on Power BI as Sebastian Zamorano. That is my user, and that same user you need at least read permissions to have access. For that reason, I can load that immediately. But if you don't have the right permissions, normally you will see on Power BI here a kind of policy tip saying that you need to sign in to validate your credentials. In that case, you press the button and you will redirect to there. If not, you can use the data source settings and we can change the permissions to connect. Normally, you will see this interface coming set on anonymous. You need to go to organizational account and you need to sign in with the account that have permissions over that workspace in Logs Analytics. In this case, I'm already signing. For that reason, I start viewing all the data immediately. And here we can see the information. Here we can see all the information. As we mentioned previously, and that is very important, as Sergio mentioned, in the CSV file, we were seeing a lot of columns. But if you see here on my query, and we can have other sessions to discuss about query, in this section, when I say project, I establish the columns that I want to return from my query. I am taking only some fields, not all of them. And that is the information that I'm exporting and using here on Power BI. The other thing is we need to use right name for the queries. This is MIP scanner filtered by path and sit to say something. This property is the name that you will see here. Or the other option is add on the description, and you can put here MIP scanner filtered to remember that is not the real data of the MIP scanner, the complete MIP scanner, and you can put here by path and sit, or by path MIP scanner MIP scan 02 and sit SSN. Try to use these descriptions, these options, because after that, every time that you take several information, maybe you will not remember what was you doing here, and you need to go to the advanced editor, start reading the query and several things. Okay, I have my MIP scanner filtered query. The other thing that I do normally, because I want to build a template that, I have several here, open it. Don't save, give me a moment. Don't save. I want to reuse all my Power BI. If I want to reuse all my Power BI, I need to understand in which way I can reuse the Power BI. To reuse a Power BI, I need to create a template. As an example, in this case, MIP Access Overview, at the moment that I am opening my template, we will see that this one requests my workspace ID. Why is requesting my workspace ID? Because, and I will show you that, I create a variable for that, and I made that change in all the queries to use that variable. If you don't do that, and if you have a lot of queries, you need to go to all those queries, changing the workspace ID. And you can see here, I have my variable that is called workspace ID. And in all my queries, I change the number of the workspace ID with that variable. All the queries have the same configuration. That permit me export this dashboard, and at the moment the export as a Power BI template, and at the moment to open the Power BI template, the system requests that workspace ID and immediately refresh that data, that value in all the functions, all the tables, and start loading the right information. For that reason, normally, one of the first things that I do on my report is create here on Manage Parameters a new parameter that is called Workspace ID. Workspace ID is required value any, and I put here this one. And now I can change here. I can open the advanced editor, but you can easily change here. Double quote, ampersand, ampersand, space, workspace ID. space. That is all. And now I am using my variable, that is the workspace ID. And if I save this one, I will start using this variable here. I want to obtain information from another workspace. The only thing that I need to do is change here the value. And if I am doing this in all my queries, immediately all my queries will be refreshed with the new data from the new workspace. Now, related to the sensitivity information types, the information that Sergio was asking, in which way I take this one, I can come in here, transform data, and I have the options to parse the data. I know that information is in JSON format. I am parsing the data, expand to new rows, expand again. I remove this option, use original column name as prefix. That means if I maintain this one, all the new columns will call sensitivity info type data s dot sensitivity info type data s dot count. To avoid that, I will remove from here. I will press again load more. Sometimes not all the columns are load. I need to do these steps to be confident that I have all the columns load on this query. I press OK. And now I have my column sensitivity info type, count, confidence level, sensitive info type name. And OK, I have another here that I can expand. This one contains the detected values. I can expand this one and depend if you have some information or not, we can obtain more detailed information in some cases. Like you can see here for the US phone, I can see the number plus the additional evidence. With this one, we need to take care because this information is shown from the MIP scanner because I enable some advanced configuration that by default is not available. In that case, we can skip this specific level of detail. What's happened, and this is for you as well, Sergio. Sensitivity label custom configuration. Thanks. Something. I believe that unified labeling, unified labeling or client advanced statistics. To have that level of details that normally is not shown in the current report on the MIP scanner, but if someone needs that level of information, we have here in this one. If you want to send information type matches to Azure Information Protection Analytics, you need to enable that. On my case, I did that for testing purpose, but normally that configuration is not available. I am only showing that we can expand the data and we can obtain as a very deep level with the MIP scanner if you want to enable that capability. This one normally is not available. For that reason, I will go back on my steps to avoid that information. And I will be until here. We have, I'll delete one step. You can see here, this is enough to create the current report to see the sensitivity information types, level of confidence, how many of them was detected. That is enough for this report. And here you can see the extensions and several other information. I can go to home, close and apply. And I can start building my reports. Like, okay, I want to identify the number of different file names. This is a common error that I made at the beginning. If I select file name and I count distinct, and I will put the different values here, or if I take this one, I take the object ID. What happened here? I can have the same file, or at least the same file name, in different locations. But if I have a document with the same name in different locations, can be different documents. And inclusive, if the original document was the same source, because it's in different locations, someone can change the data and you can have different information on that. For that reason, my recommendation is when I count files, I use the object ID because the object ID contains the path plus the file name. I know that the object ID is unique. I cannot have the same file name in the same path twice, except maybe if I'm working on Linux and I have some files with uppercase and lowercase because it's case sensitive. But in general, I cannot have a file with the same name in the same location. We will use count object ID this with this option. What's happened additionally, this is very important as well. Let me put here another card. I will count only. And I will put another with the object ID. And I will count different.
Yeah, that count is important in the future because we are going to use that right away, straightforward, how many guests we have. And then we are going to have how many guests with accepted invite or how many without accepted invite. It's good. Thank you very much.
And the other thing, okay, why this number is bigger than this one, and I am counting file name. The big deal here is I can have and more and with the scanner that is very common. I can have several the same activity over the same file several times because I am running the scanner to discover, to rescan, to apply labels, to remove labels for several actions. Or a same user in other operations, maybe you receive an email and you open that email several times in 1 week, or you open a file several times in 1 week, but it's still one file. In that order of idea, we need to take care at the moment when we use the count. In some cases, we need to use the count to see, okay, the scanner was working all the weeks and was reviewing the files millions of times, but the files are still 1 million. But the scanner, because was working all the week, maybe works 10 millions of times over 1 million of files, but you will have 10 millions of records over the same file. The same happen maybe trying to make a parallel with other activity. In some cases, we need to know in 1 day how many times the user was logging. We know that the user was 1, but that user login 10, 20 times in the day. In that case, I need to count all the logins, not distinct for that specific user, because I know the user, but I need to know how many times that user tried to delete something, or how many times that user tried to log in or login failed. For that reason, we need to take care at the moment we use count distinct or we count only. Until here is almost okay, the idea?
Until this moment is clear, and what is important, how we are counting the files and where you are taking the data from there.
Yep, it's all good. Thanks.
Okay.
And also we have to repeat the videos just to make sure that we are able to replicate the same thing that you are doing.
Okay, now I will go to the most complex part of this point. Happens that Power BI have some limit related to how many data can be downloaded. And in that case, if you want to avoid some limit, exists another licensing over E5, that is the Power BI Premium, is E5 plus additional licensing to avoid some limits. But exists a way using Power BI Pro to, in some case, a kind of trick to avoid those limits. On this case, this is a demo environment. The data that we are downloading is a small number, a small number of records, a small number of size. But if we need to download several data, and for that reason, if you review some of my Power BI template, you will see something strange on the Power BI queries. Is this one. I have those queries here as well. I need to explain in a better way, but let's come in here. Custom queries, common equal use it. I use this query. You can see it's the same query for all of them. And let me go here. This query return all the dates separate by day, month, year, where I have some activities. I have activities this same day, October 17, October 16, and the rest of the week. I can start seeing maybe October 15, that was weekend. I don't have information, but I can easily start seeing which days I have some information. With this query, I will export this query. And I will go to transform data to add this query. New long query, advanced editor. I will take this information. Now I know that on September 8th, I have some activities. On September 9, I have some activities. September 20, well, we can order this, but I believe that you get the idea. I know that I have activities on those days. What I will do is this trick. I will transform this query to a function.
Yep. Meaning that we can call that function sometime to run. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
MIP scanner. I am converting this one as a function. Here I have a disorder. For that reason, you can see on my report that I was grouping the data in different folders. Normally, I am trying to call the folders with the API that I am using. In this case, this coming from the Office 365 Management API. The workspace, I create a support folder for for that one, and I have this one. By the way, take care on this point because I don't change the ID. Again, it's very important if I will use this variable, the workspace ID, I need to do that change. I will delete this one. I will create again. I need to use this one in the Office 365 Management API. I will move this to another place. I have my workspace ID. I will recall this rename supporting elements. Okay.
Yeah, you're creating
First
this
of all,
one by one. Good, thank you.
Let me change this one. Again, double quote, sorry, double quote, ampersand, space, workspace ID, space. Okay, that one is okay now. This is okay with the workspace ID. Let me see. Here is very important. If you have an error that is common on a table, if you have a table, maybe some column doesn't exist, maybe something is wrong. What we can do is going back step by step to see in which step we have the problem. And in that case, we can fix that problem. The column doesn't exist. So for some reason, the column was loaded with another kind of data type or something like that. We can review step by step here at right. But okay, I have this one that is using the variable. The new one is using the variable. From this one, I will build the function. Again, I will call it this one MIP scanner filtered function. I will stop using this one for that reason. To avoid the problem about data ingestion, I will disable the load. In this case, this table will not load anymore until I refresh the data manually. But inclusive, because we have the function, we can delete this one. For the moment, I am maintaining this one with the disable load because if you want to test or validate something, but normally I remove that one. Here I have the function. I need to use the function with this one, but first to use the function, and inclusive, you can see on my report that I create another group, another folder, call it functions, and I move the function to there. That is to have all order with an order. But okay, I have this one. I need to make a change here. Here coming the trick. Let me take that one is on the queries, and for some reason right now my OneNote doesn't want to work very well. Okay, where is it? Queries here. This is in the OneNote, by the way. The point that I will change here is in the OneNote. I will replace on source with date as a text, month as a text, year as a text. They're variables that I will need to call this function. And the other thing that I need to take care is remove, if I am using a filtering for date, I need to remove that one. Normally, when I execute that one, I will see here a time span. I need that value. Give me a moment. I have in the query. I have one query without. My apologies for that. Okay, let me run any query here. I am losing a field that I normally I use easily. Give me a moment. When you run any query without use the time generated, and you export that as mQuery, the filter about the time is this one that is here at the bottom, time span. Because I added the time generated in the query, that field disappear. That is why I was looking that specific value. I need to add that value here, comma. And what I need to do now is remove this past 1 day, remove that past 1 day, and I need to replace with this query. I need to replace with this query, but I need to take care to use the same table name. In this case, I am using audit general, and I will replace here by audit general. With this change, year, month, day, that's coming from this variable here at the top, we can see this change, day, month, year. And now, let's see, at column, invoke custom function, we will select the MIP scanner filtered function, and we will use day on day, month on month, and year on year. Okay. And now we need to expand this. We will use the original. We will use low to be sure that we are collecting all the data. And now we have all our information. Every time that something occurs in some days, we are collecting the data. Now we can close and apply. And let me validate that we have the same numbers. That is the idea. If not, I am doing something wrong here. I have here. Okay.
Something wrong.
This one is because I disabled in this one. Remember that I disable this table. Because I disabled that table and the previous chart was related to this one, that start showing error because this one coming from the previous table. Now I am enable the table and you can see the values. But I am disabled that one. For that reason, these values. What I need to do now is validate that I have the same values. Let me see. If not, I need to fix something. File name. Object. Okay, is the same values.
Yep.
In this case, what I'm doing in this case, remember, this was show an error because I use this one to create the function. I will not use anymore. I want to avoid to download several times the same data because that have a cost. And in this process that I did here, what I am doing is for each day where I have an activity, I am running the script. That means by default, if you run a query on Power BI Pro, you have a limit related to the size of the query or the amount of record of the queries. The trick here is now I am, instead to run the query to collect the data from the last 3 months, I am running the query every day. And I am collecting all the results in one table. That is almost clear.
Clear from my end for this table. That is important.
In
In
that
this case,
case,
we are working 100% in MIP scanner because this is the table or the query that we are doing. Good, continue.
in that case, happens that I am running the query with this trick. I am running the query daily. That means instead to, as an example, download 10 mix of data in one query, and maybe I have several information. Now, for each day, using this function, I am having the capability to download 10 mix of data. That is the why in almost all the big queries that you can see on my Power BI template, you see this function, this table, and this structure, because we are looking to avoid that limit and permit to download all the records, because we are talking about 100,000 millions of records per day. Close and apply. And okay, this one will be a fail because I unload the previous table, but we saw that the values are the same for this one. Okay, we are almost on time. I have pending for the moment the previous exercise that I did with Mike. I want to see what was doing Mike. I can start reviewing Mike in all the in each table, but I know that Mike was the activities that I'm looking are in audit general for this case. I will look for only the last 4 hours where user ID contains Mike, and I want to see first of all only the operations, not all the information. Count by operation. And here I have activities related to get DLP sensitive information type, validate, access aggregate, and CERT. I can assume that the information that I'm looking is CERT. In that case, now I want to see where operation S contain CERT. And now I can see all the activities related to CERT that coming from my user Mike. And okay, I can see the workload is security and compliance. That now give me the idea that I want to see who is connecting to security and compliance. And this is only to start explaining how I start building the report. Okay, let me see in audit general where time generated is major or equal now less 730 days, and where the workload contain contain security compliance center summarize count by user ID. Okay, now I have a problem with my logs analytics, but with this query, I can know all the users that was accessing to security and compliance center. Let me try to refresh the page. And after that, I can start doing other stuff. Let me see, refreshing the page. Okay, Sebastian Zamorano is the one that have more activities in the security and compliance world. Then we have Mike, we have not found blank, Normally, these are services running in the background. For that reason, I was saying not always the user ID contain information, but always operations contain. But doing this one, let me select operation S. But because I have several activities from my side and the security, I can remove, as an example, I can remove my user and user ID not contain. Sorry, user ID not contains. Now I can see for each user the activities related to all of them. Mike, related to search activity on the audit, have 1,067,670 different activities related to search in the last 2 years. And I can see the rest of user that was accessing to my environment, to the Security and Compliance Center, and doing something. That makes sense?
Yeah, 100% and that's why you are helping us to build the custom query step by step. Very good. And then we are uploading that to our Power BI. And to be honest, great training. Great, excellent. I know that is not enough, but that is the fundamental for us and even for Patrick. How this is built from zero. We have to continue. I know that you have to go at one, but I love it. Thank you very much. And one thing that I like from you, Sebastian, is that you are going slow, explaining step by step, and you are not assuming that the person knows something that they don't know, and that's why they keep the holes. That happened with me. I don't know if you, in the past, that happened with me, and that's why I was not able to follow you in the presentation. But with this explanation, it's great. Believe me, excellent. Even we have to take that as a reference for future trainings. You don't have to repeat the same information. In this video, I can edit the video and remove some information, and we put that as a standard how you create the logs. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, that is to finish the idea. In which way normally I start creating the report. Recommendations: save your queries in OneNote, or if you have contributor permissions in your workspace in Logs Analytics, you can save the queries. And finally, you can create a catalog with all your queries in the same Logs Analytics. That permit in the future, every time that you need to use something, you can coming back here to the queries and looking for the one that you was working and start using that as a base or reusing, making some changes, that kind of things. Is very important to save that queries to avoid to rebuild all your work previously. That is the last step to explain this point.
Yep.